Let's try that again. I'll wait for everybody to come over and find this live. Let's try this again. I know you guys can hear me this time. I'm gonna go in and delete that post so people don't get confused. I'm here. Okay, I am back. I am back. I apologize. We were having some serious technical difficulties, and it was causing us not to go live. First with the camera, then with our audio, but we are back. So, welcome. In the comments, let me know if you're live, or if you are hashtag replay. So understand this is our second one. I did get rid of the other live, so welcome back. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let me know who you are, what state you're from, and what age group you work with. So go ahead and introduce yourself. All right, Deborah Davis, welcome back. Thank you for letting me know I did not have any sound. So that is yay. I am back. I am back. I am back. So it seemed like there was a power outage here at the office, and so all of my equipment got disconnected, and so I am trying to get everything back up and going. Oh, good. You can hear me now. Good, good, good. So welcome Miss Brenda from Texas, and she works with 4-year-olds. Welcome Miss Deborah, and as everybody's getting back on over here, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me who you are. So today is a very special live, and it is all about you guys getting your answers to your questions. Whether you work with infants, toddlers, preschoolers, after schoolers, whether you're an admin, I want you guys to kind of drop your questions in a comment. And tonight I am going to solve the problems. Hopefully we get quite a few that I can answer questions. So whether it's a behavior question, a curriculum question, or if it is a admin question, if it's a scheduling question, I want to be able to answer them on our hot topic tonight. And the training is just being facilitated by you teachers. A lot of times when you go to trainings, they pick the topic, but tonight you guys get to pick the topic. We will veer off into other things depending on what things you guys drop in the comments, but I want to be here to answer your question. This is a live training. If you came over from IG, this is not being filmed on IG, but I am super excited about having you guys. Hello, Cassandra from California. Prenatal to 5 years old. So you guys are covering all age group. Hello, Mr. Warren. It is good to see you as well. So drop your questions in the comments and let me know, because I want to answer those behavioral developmental milestone questions, activity questions, transition questions. It is all about pouring into my early childhood educators. A lot of times in this community, there's not a lot for our infant and toddler teachers and for preschoolers. But when you do show up, it's just a pre-reserved topic and you're not able to ask questions. And this is a live training where you can ask your questions about early education and we are giving you those answers. So I'm so happy to be a part of this community and serving you guys. And I strongly believe that as an advisor for early childhood teachers, I have to pour into your cup and keep your cup full. So thank you so much. What are my thoughts on doing assessments? So that is a great question, Miss Brenda. Assessments can be done in so many different ways. And as early childhood providers, we should be doing assessments anyway. But the type of assessments are key. I love the idea of informal assessments using anecdotal records, using small group lessons, and having that formal assessment there to kind of guide it, but not sitting a kid down and just, what is this, what is that, what is this, what is that, and then teaching them to have anxiety from being put on the spotlight. Assessment should be used in a way that kids are learning as well as having hands-on activities. So one way I did assessments in my 3-year-old classroom, when I knew that I had to assess, can they write their name, can they sort by color, I would pick hands-on activities to do with them, observe how they did, and then I would go to my clipboard and write down if they were able to master that skill. So taking away from that formal setting of assessments and then letting them know, hey, when we were doing this activity, I was testing you to see where your levels are, and this is how you did on it, and here's what we need to work on. And that'll take away some of that testing anxiety that kids get when they're 4 and 5 years of age. So taking those formal assessments and making them informal and giving parents real feedback as to whether their child can do it or not. A lot of times when children are put on the spot, they won't perform at all, or they won't tell you what they know, or they feel singled out. And so you really don't get a feel of where they're at as far as their development, because they shut down because they're put on the spot. So hopefully that answers your questions. And you're in Texas, and so with Texas Rising Star, they ask you, what type of assessments do you use and how do you guide assessments? And what they want is best practices. And best practices say that assessments should be done in an informal like in a way that you observe kids. And when you're doing formal assessments, make them least stressed, the least amount of stress as possible. Also, NAEYC has some really great books out there on the different types of assessments that you can do, both formal and informal, that are more developmentally appropriate for 3s, 4s, and 5-year-olds, because you work with preschoolers. So hopefully that answers your question. But if you have more about assessments that you want to ask about, Ms. Brenda, please drop them in the comments and I will go in to answer those questions. All right, any more questions in regards to developmental activities, behavioral issues, ideas for infants, toddlers, or preschoolers? Okay. So very much child-led. So even though it is child-led and they're learning through play, you can guide that play. A lot of times whenever it is a play-based, people think that you're just letting kids go wherever. You can sit those kids down and find out what they're interested in, what things you can take their learning to the next level. We call it the zone of proximal development. When you are watching them play and you see them starting to sort, you write that down and you bring those type of activities to expand that learning. So I love a play-based curriculum, but it's also balanced with teacher directed guidance. And so you have to look and see what they're doing in their play so that you can find activities that kind of that is kind of aligned. All right, so I know this live is for teachers. Okay. My program is transitioning to accommodate early ages, and we're currently in the Texas Rising Star process. This is a new program for our teachers, so how can I make it fun but also keep the accountability, as this is a new arena for 95? I'm going to bring Mr. Warren's question up to the screen, and it's going to cover my face, but I want to kind of read this. 5% of my staff. What is accountability that comes more training and may be a little overwhelming for some? So to kind of like go into that, and Warren, this is not just for early childhood teachers, this is for administrators, because without you guys, the teachers won't have what they need. So with Texas Rising Star, to make it fun, there are certain developmental things, but the main 3 things that's important with Texas Rising Star is the environment, the interaction with the teachers and the students, and the engagement with parents. And that's on the teacher part. So what I would do is work on the environment first, because when you shift the environment, teachers' mindsets start to really change with that shift of environment a little bit at a time. So with a lot of my Texas Rising Star teachers, I have several programs that are going through it and using me as a coaching. We start off with lunchtime training, hot topic trainings. We then do afternoons, and gradually start adding in those pieces. And most of those pieces are usually environmental pieces. And as you're shifting that environment, reward them and then encourage them to start making those shifts in their mind at the same time. So holding them accountable, I know it can seem like a lot, but it's really not a lot when you break it down into those three pieces. What Texas Rising Star is looking for is engagement. Are they going based on, like Ms. Brenda said, what the children are interested in their type of play? And so what it takes is for teachers to really understand that they are a facilitator of learning and not actually trying to just force learning on children to bring them up to that level. So when you start doing trainings on switching your style of teaching, having an open classroom management with these new classrooms, you will start to see the shift in teachers and get them excited. One school I was working with in particularly, they had staff that were like stuck in their ways. They were used to having them sit at the desk, do the old school learning way, learning centers. They brought the learning centers to the tables. They couldn't really rotate. And doing training with them actually was going through the show, to tell them about it, show them how to do it, be there to coach them and encourage them, show them the benefits of it. And I noticed that they started to get really excited about the learning because they saw that the behavior of the children started to decrease because of their attitude change and their attitude shift. And so if you're really struggling with teachers adapting to that, start going through a process where you are, doing a little bit encouragement, just like you would if you were working with students. So hopefully that kind of helped. Texas Rising Star is a different approach, but it's no different than NAEYC, and really teaching teachers how to be facilitators of learning, going based on where the children are, not trying to bring them up to a level, but going down to their level and then pulling them up to the level that you really want to be on. So that goes back to Brenda's assessment question, assessing the kids and looking at them while they're playing and saying, I noticed that such and such never want to go to the math center because they want to go to the block center, but when they're in the block center, I noticed that they are doing some simple counting. So now I need to bring math into my block center because that's where that kid particularly hangs out, and that's where I know I'm going to be able to grow their skills in that center. The same approach for your teachers. Find out where they're at with their understanding of environment, their understanding of interaction with children, their understanding of interaction with parents, and meet them there and together raise them up to the bar that is of Texas Rising Star and even more so NAEYC. So that's how you really transition those programs, and I hope that helps you out a little bit. All right, any more questions? I love that on assessments and play. So you can meet them on that play-based level and kind of move them over to more teacher-directed, but not like where they know it's teacher-directed, but you're really guiding their plays. And a lot of things that I did, Miss Brenda, to help guide play is I would revamp my learning centers and add different things to my learning centers that would prompt them to play in a way that would allow me to not only assess them, but also see where they're at with their interaction and their engagement with the learning activities that they should be engaging in at their particular age. And so it also guided their play a little bit so that I could see them sort, so that I could see them count, so that I could see them write. You won't know a kid can write. They're not going to just be like, oh, I'm going to pick up a pen and write. Some of them will be if they're like I was when I was a kid who liked to read the newspaper and write. But most of them won't. But if you put it in their environment and call it, they're taking orders at McDonald's or taking orders at Starbucks, you will start to see, can they really hold a pencil? Do they write in script? Do they form letters? Are they copying what's on the menu? Or are they just making straight lines and squiggle lines? And so that's how you do a informal assessment, by setting up that play-based learning that your kids are already familiar with, to see where they're at and what they need more work in. All right. Any other questions? So I can tell you guys while questions are coming on, this week again is super jam packed with things. Tomorrow I'll be doing a lunch and learn over on Instagram. So go over to Instagram and you'll be able to catch that. You guys will get more carousel trainings on Instagram. You can save those and watch those trainings. If you didn't see my coffee training, it's over on Instagram. All you do is swipe and it tells you some behavior tips using the acronym coffee. Over here on Facebook, you're going to be getting these Facebook Live, some engagement posts to kind of keep you guys going, all to lead you to be sparkling in your classroom. A lot of times we are burnt out and we're tired. And when we look at it from a teacher perspective, we're like, you know what? These kids are really draining to us. These kids are taking a lot out of us. They're so different than what they used to be. And so you have to have a way to empower yourself and to keep going. And sometimes your administrators may not be available to do such a thing because their cups are being emptied by other teachers, by parents, and also behavioral issues that are going in the center. And I want to be that hub where both administrators and teachers can come to get refilled and revitalized, to get back excited about what they do. Because remember, you're the one that is molding and crafting these kids to grow up and go into their profession and to love learning and be excited about who they are. And if you start to really crush them at the age of 3 and 4 and 5 years of age, then a part of them will be crushed forever and it can never be restored. So we have to be very intentional about what we do in a classroom and allow our feelings and our other situations to be left at the door. And that can be very difficult. And because I know it can be difficult, mind you, I come to you as a preschool teacher, ex-administrator, or child care center owner. I don't come from a place of, I just train. I have lived in every single role and worked with every single age group. And so I totally understand what it's like to be in a classroom with biters and scratchers and fighters, and how draining that can be at the end of the day. And so you guys have to be able to tap into a source to kind of boost you up. And then if you're an administrator, you have to tap in so that you can keep your teachers refueled. And so what I want to extend to everyone in my community is to be their mentor, the mentor that you can ask those hard questions to without being judged, a mentor that will help guide you on best practices in the classroom, and not only guide you, but motivate you to stay in this industry. We wonder why teachers are leaving, why they're feeling burnt out. And I bring it back to adequate training. Adequate training. Many teachers are just put in situations and they don't know how to deal with these challenging behavior. No one is there to help them. They can tell them what to do, but they're not showing them what to do. And so with Training to Succeed, we not only want to tell you, but we want to show you and give you live practical examples of what you can do in these classrooms to help yourself out. So take a deep breath, sit back, and allow me to just pour this information into you so that you're good for your kids tomorrow, so that you're great for your parents, so that you can continue to communicate. One of the first things that you have to do is go back to, why did you do this in the first place? Why did you get into early education? If you're watching this live or hashtag replay, tell me your why. Why even get into this type of business? There are some amazing perks. Yeah, you get to be off most weekends. We don't have to work overnight. Most centers who are not 24-hour centers, we're off by 6:30, 7 o'clock, and we're able to go home with our families. But why else did you get into this? And for the most part, the reason why I got into it is to help build children from the time that they're young so that they can find their purpose and know who they are and stand strong in who they are as they grow up in life. I was once a kid that, there was a lot of pushback with some of the teachers that I have because of my personality, because I love to talk, and because I'm just a burst of energy. And I see that happen to so many children. And I ask myself, what can we do to help empower and encourage them? Understanding that there are so many different type of learners. Smart is not just knowing your letters, your numbers, your shapes, and your colors. Smart is creativity. Smart is being able to build. Smart is to be able to come up with inventive ways to use things. So when you see that kid using that block as a baseball bat, inventive and creative. So how can you create an environment that supports that, as opposed to suppressing that? Because suppressing some of that is where our behavioral issues come from. So I want to kind of help motivate and encourage you guys as you are faced with these day-to-day challenges by answering some of your pressing questions that will help take you to the next level. So if you're watching this on replay and you have questions, go ahead and still drop those questions in the comments so that I can answer your questions on our next live, or in our Tips Tuesday, or at another time, or even just answer them with a voice message inside of your direct message. So I still want to answer those questions for those who could not watch this live if you're watching this later. What else is going on this week? Friday, we have an amazing announcement. This past Saturday, we did a free webinar, 3-hour webinar on behavior. We will be offering that free webinar once again for those who registered but could not attend. And for those who did not register and could not attend, we want to give you the opportunity to attend. Teacher appreciation is more than just 1 week. You guys give your all 12 months if you work in childcare out of a year. We don't get a month off unless you work in a program that allows you to be off. We are working with children 12 months out of the year. And to say 1 week is enough, to me, that's not enough. And so I want to continue to celebrate. We also have some swag that we're going to be giving away on Thursday for you teachers who claimed your free t-shirts. I am mailing out those t-shirts this week. Also, we're going to be giving away some more free giveaways, some gift cards, all of that to help encourage you and get you excited about being back in your classroom. So your why. Also in the comments, I want you guys to drop, what do you love best about teaching? What do you love best? One of my favorite things is when like that light bulb goes off in children's head. I love creating enrichments for children, like making takes and putting activities together, hands-on things. What things do you really enjoy in your classroom? Because the why and what you enjoy is the reason why you show up. Oh, this is a great question, Michaela. I'm going to bring this one up to the screen. All right. I notice a lot of other classes in my center, the teachers are, I guess they have issues with their part in the classroom, like the assistants and others under the lead teacher. Do you have any advice? So struggling with co-teachers. So my advice to that, so I've worked with co-teachers. I've had some that were like, good, we work good together, and some that were like a bump on a log that would twirl their hair as the kids were twirling around in the classroom. And I'm like, do you see that? Can you go and get that? So one thing that worked for me is having that conversation with the co-teacher and asking them, hey, what things do you enjoy in the classroom? And telling them things that I enjoy and creating a plan and splitting it and saying, hey, you're going to do this activity while I'm doing this, and making that really good teacher schedule between the two of them. If you're an admin, having a team building day where you are facilitating that. So what you'll do is you'll have a questionnaire, set the teachers down together. They'll ask each other questions and interview. Then together they will build a teacher schedule for their classroom. That way, each one of them know what they're responsible for. Because one thing that my co-teacher told me, the one that I was struggling with, was like, well, Carolyn, I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to step on your toes. I didn't want to get in your way. So I just kind of like backed up. And so when I assigned her to things, I could expect her to do them because I asked her to do them, and I didn't just assume. In the childcare industry, we assume because a person has 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years of experience, they should know what to do, but that's not the case. Every center is different. And it's not common sense. It is a trained skill that people have to explain what is expected. I say you inspect what you expect. So as a leader doing a team building to get those teachers on the same page, and then if you are a teacher in a classroom just trying to mend that bridge with that teacher, sitting down, having that hard conversation, making a plan so that you guys can have a collaboration when you're in the classroom, because you don't want that struggle, because kids can feel that. At the end of the day, if one person is not pulling their weight, that is when an administrator have to step in and start holding them accountable and having that coaching session with them and asking them, so what did you decide on? And what did you decide on? Okay, so who's not pulling their weight on this end? And what I'm going to do is take you, both of you guys' list, and I'm going to look at them, and I'm going to be doing observations to make sure that there is a understanding of how the day is balanced. Another part of that as well with teachers is that you can't expect your co-teacher to do all the dirty work. Like, okay, I'm going to teach when you change all the diapers, or I'm going to teach you you're going to clean all day. There has to be a balance and fairness. And if two people can't facilitate that conversation, an administrator needs to step in and help facilitate that so that those two teachers can get on the same page. And someone needs to hold both of them accountable to both of those things. These relationships that happens in a classroom, we think that they're supposed to naturally happen, but just like a marriage, just like, building a relationship with a friend, you have to sit down and talk about the likes and dislikes so that you can mesh together well. And sometimes personalities do clash. And when they clash, that is why a lot of teachers struggle, and they need someone to step in and facilitate that conversation as to who's responsible for what. So Michaela, I did do a training last week, a hot topic last week, on building a schedule. And a part of taking that schedule that's on your wall is making a 15-minute increment schedule for the teachers. And the teachers saying, hey, so during this time of transition, I'm going to facilitate while you wipe the tables. All right, I'm going to get the kids and I'm going to potty them while you set down the cots. And then I'm going to set down 5, you take this 5, and then we're going to rotate. So sitting down with each other and mapping that out is not something that happens in a lot of centers. And we have to be more intentional about creating a productive learning environment for children by training and equipping teachers before allowing them to just take over a classroom. I hope that kind of helps you, Michaela, and gives you some answers on how to facilitate those conversations with teachers. And if you're dealing with that as a teacher, how you can facilitate that on your own. One thing I do encourage staff to do before we have those hard conversations, because we never know how our coworker is going to respond, just drop into the office with your director, assistant director, and say, hey, I want to have this conversation with such and such, and here's my plan. Do you want to intervene? Do you want to step in? Do you want to help facilitate it? And if they say, oh no, I think that you have it on your own, then go and do it. That way you have the support of your administrators, because sometimes they don't know what's happening. They only hear the gripes and complaints, and they can't filter through the gripes and complaints. And so sometimes they just need a level-headed conversation to bring them into the understanding of what's really happening in that classroom. But that is a really good question, Michaela. Thank you so much for asking that. Okay, guys, I'm going to have a little bit of more time being on. So is there any other questions? Drop them in the comments. Okay, so other things that's going on this week. I know we talked about our big surprise on Friday and our fun day. Who here needs more activities? If you need more activities for the age group that you work with, I want to put something together for those teachers. We do have our Adventures in Learning curriculum that we have, and I would love to share some infant, toddler, and preschool activities with you guys. So if you need more activities, go ahead and drop activities in the comment section, and I will, even if you're on replay, just drop that, and I want to do more things for you guys. Also, if you're watching this on replay or you're live, if you could have the perfect resource available for you, like anything that you need for the classroom, what type of resources would you like to have? Would it be more learning activities? Would it be more transition activities? Would it be more songs? Would it be more support with behavioral issues? What do you need help with? I want to know those questions. I want to know those answers in the comment, because again, we're here to serve you, and we want to make sure we're giving you all things early education. Public school teachers have what they need. They get professional development days and they get to have planning time, but you guys don't get to have that as much. Sometimes in child care centers, if you work for more structured like Head Starts and different things like that, you may or you may not. But I want to be able to give you guys what you need. So in the comments, what do you need more of in early education? I am going to repurpose this video and make it into a Instagram video for people to watch, but they won't get it live on Instagram. They're going to get a snack and learn on Instagram. So if you follow us on IG, you're going to get a snack and learn tomorrow, and it's going to be absolutely fun. All right, I'm going to give it just a few more minutes for questions, comments, or any support that you guys need before we wrap up our hot topics. But these were some amazing questions tonight. I love it. I love it. Oh, thank you, Warren, for answering a question. You're the best as well. One of the best administrators. Thank you so much. And I see you, Miss Cassandra, over on our YouTube channel. That is going to get a revamp. And boy, will I tell you, do we have some amazing videos that we're dropping on our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for tapping in on this on YouTube. Okay, good question, Michaela. Do I have any summary of your behavior trainer? I work with many children with tantrums, and I feel like we don't get a lot of training or support on supporting the children. Thank you so much. Yes, Michaela. So what I can do for that training is we're going to have a replay of it. And so that is going to be a great opportunity for you to tap in for that. But let me just give you a little bit about tantrums. Tantrums are a way of communicating. And a lot of times when children don't have the words to say, they result to screaming and falling out because that's their only means of communication. So a little bit what I taught in the behavior training is taking the time to teach children the way that you want them to behave, or the way that they're supposed to behave. So acknowledging the emotion of feeling angry, frustrated, and upset, and telling them what they can do as opposed to what they can't do. But those lessons are taught not during the tantrum, but after the tantrum. If you start to talk to a child while they're in a tantrum, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire, trying to get them to calm down. You have to let them go through the process. And when they're done, then speak to them. It's kind of like us as adults. We don't want to be spoke to when we're upset and we're bothered. So why try to do that with young children, especially when they don't have the vocabulary? Lack of vocabulary and lack of knowing how to express yourself leads to not only tantrums, but throwing things, hitting people as well. So we never teach kids how to react when they are stressed, or when they are frustrated, or when they're angry until it happens. But if we give them the tools that they need before it happens, especially when we're talking about 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, we talk about, okay, what happens when we're mad? Here's what you do. And understand that they're in a very impulsive age. And so sometimes they'll react before their brain tells them, okay, like that was not something you were supposed to do, because they're very responsive to different things. With that being said, you have to give them the techniques that are needed to be able to deal with that. So I ask people, when you were younger, what did you learn to do whenever you were frustrated? Did someone sit you down and say, hey, Michaela, every time you're frustrated, here are some things that you can do? No, we were only told the things that we can't do. So when you're told what you can't do, by process of elimination, you're going to find something that feels good to you to do in that space, and then it becomes a habit. Think about biting. You have some kids that are biters and some that are not. Whenever they respond to a situation and they bite and it feels good and they feel relief from the stress, that's what they're going to go to. If you have a kid that bites and they don't get the response that they need and it scares them and they don't like that, they'll never bite again because it's not satisfying to them. They may hit or throw things or spit or kick, but they're finding a relief to that stressful situation or that anxiety, which we don't teach to. A lot of things is emotional competencies with children, but that is hard to achieve when you have teachers that are not emotionally competent. So sit down and just make a list. What are some things that children can do in place of those tantrums? What are we really talking about? We're talking about what ways to be able to manage their emotions over a period of time. So teaching lessons like that in your large group lesson, small group one-on-one lesson. You have a kid that has a tantrum, pulling them when they're not in a tantrum to do activities and one-on-ones with them to teach them the skills that they need to replace the tantrums. So that's kind of what we talked about in our behavior management training is one, becoming emotionally competent teachers so that we can teach emotional competencies to our children. Oh, that's trauma. Wait a minute. Hold on one second. Did I answer your question, Michaela? Okay, trauma, past trauma. So we also talked a little bit about that, that go through different things. So I gave them the analogy of this thing that I saw on Instagram, which was like mind blowing to me because I never thought about it in that way. So this lady, she had a cup of orange juice and it was like concentrated orange juice, like it was orange. And so she put it up to a faucet of water and she let the clean water run into the cup. And as the clean water was running into the cup, slowly it started to overflow and some of the orange juice was starting to pour out. And then the water was mixing in. So you started to see the orange juice get lighter and lighter and lighter. And one thing you have to understand about working with children with trauma is even though you're pouring clean water in, it does not automatically turn to fresh water. It takes time and it takes consistency because the moment that some negativity gets poured back into that cup, the moment somebody gets a pitcher of orange juice and poured back into that cup, that water is going to continue to be orange until it filters through all of the orange juice and then slowly it starts to become clear water again. So that is undoing past traumas with positive interactions. That is giving a child the space and time to be able to grow whenever they're having those tantrums, whenever they're going through their moments. Also, understanding that you cannot heal 2 years, 3 years of emotional damage in one day, a month, even a year. It takes longer to undo something than it does to do something. So not only are you undoing those things of the past, but you're reteaching new things. It takes 90 days to learn something or make it a habit. So imagine undoing a habit and replacing it with something new. A lot of times when you deal with children that has past trauma, what you have to do is give them their space to have autonomy and express themselves. Then start building that relationship so they trust what you say and they want to, and they feel like that you're not going to give up on them, or they feel like that you're not going to just leave them. You have to build trust with them so that they can start to listen to you. People don't listen to people they don't trust. If you take something from me or you do something to me, I'm not going to trust what you say. But if you show me that you are a good person, you love me, you care about me, you have my best interest at heart, I'm going to start trusting you. And that is how you really start to bridge that gap with children who have trauma, children who have past issues, and children with communication issues. So Michaela, I really hope that that answers your question. But if you have more, feel free to ask them and I will be more than happy to help you. I thought it said tantrums, but then when I zoomed in on it, it said trauma. So both, you get the both tantrum and the trauma part because I misread that statement. Any more questions, you guys? Okay, so I'm so happy to be here to support you. Again, do not stop the questions in the threads. Do not stop telling me your why. Do not stop telling me what you really love about working in your industry or with your age group. And then questions of how I can better serve you, or question. Not my question is how can I better serve you, and your questions as to what you need more support with, or questions that you have about your classroom, about your admin team. No matter what it is, as long as it falls into the early childhood field, I am here to answer those for you. Now, I'm excited. I'll be on a flight first thing in the morning. I have a 4 a.m. red eye, so I am going to get packing for that, but I am not going to stop pouring into you guys and celebrating you. Thank you. So many new faces, so many new names. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy evening and coming on here and asking the questions and getting your cup filled so that you can go back and serve children in your community. Make it an amazing night, and I will see you guys at the Lunch and Learn tomorrow or here on Facebook with some of our interactive posts. Talk to you soon.